So it's been a while. I have been MIA from YouTube, from talking to a camera directly like this for a while. I think since just before September. If you've been watching this, the reason for it, I think I kind of talked upon, but basically I spent about 4 months in the summer ill. I had two separate, I had COVID and sinus infection. It ran me like 2 months to recover from one, and then I ran straight into the back of another. I had my Southerns qualifier right in the middle of those two, where I only put up like 807.5. And I had 3 months basically to turn my training around after, you know, my illness after Southerns to get ready for nationals. And I did it. I have no idea how I did it, but I did it. I managed to pull an 865 total out the bag. I came fourth, and I took a shot at the bench national record. However, I didn't quite get it. On the day, I just didn't have it in me. I need to work on a few things, one of them being stronger, but the other one is nerves. When I kind of get to that stage, I thought for a long time I had like a slight issue with lifting in front of a crowd, but after some self-reflection, I realized it's the pressure of the combination of like, I have 3 lifts to try and show a year's worth of progress in, and I let that get to me on the day. And it's something that come next nationals, I have every intention of being over. With that being said, this is going to be the first video in a series that, instead of highlighting all my training, is going to highlight one very specific part of my training. And that is a road to a 260 kilo bench. The record at the moment stands at 247.5 in the 120s in British powerlifting records. However, at this recent nationals, I forget his name, but a 120 plus put up a 250 kilo bench. And I had every intention of taking the heaviest ever bench in British history. Now, congratulations to the guy who did it. That was an awesome achievement, and he is a very technically gifted lifter. His setup's pretty cool if you've ever seen it. But I have no intention, zero intention, of not taking the heaviest bench in British history and being the one who holds it until I hang up the belt. Now, there are some people in this scene who have taken it upon themselves to congratulate themselves when I fail at my bench. To that one person, I think it's time he retired. He doesn't have his squat record anymore. He doesn't have his deadlift record anymore. And I can guarantee you this now, in 364 days, there won't be a single record in British history with his name to it unless he stays in the M1, M2 category, because that's all he's going to be good for now. I guarantee that. So I'm feeling my SSJ Bob era coming on here. Except my opponent's not Rondell Hudd. It's a guy who used to be in the scene. So I'm going to be a decent lifter, as Dave would say. I'm going to be a decent lifter. And this decent lifter is going to hit 260 bench. And the fun thing is, next year, I have every intention of opening at 250. That's going to be like my main goal. So, with that being said, today, we've just got some pause, volume bench, nothing serious. I'm literally 3 days post-comp, and we're going to take it away from here. All right, so we've got our first set. It's just volume bench today, so it's 2x6 at 7. And something I've really struggled with as I've gotten bigger. When I was a 105, I had a lot more mobility. And now as a 120, getting this arch I used to have that really secured my positioning is something I've been really fighting to get back. I'm now having to basically use the bench to push myself into that position, but it's still feeling quite good. So I'm going to try that out for this set. Who knows how this will go. the answer as well, if I can get the thing out the rack. The one downside of a big arch is really big arch, really difficult to unrack. But when it is unracked, I'm set. That felt great. All right, first set moved well. It's funny, when my bench feels great, I don't feel a lot of muscle engagement, which I know sounds really counterintuitive. It just feels like I'm moving slower, but there's not actually any weight on me. And I think that's a really good signal that you've got great tension and great technique, because it means that you're not moving biomechanically in a way that isn't natural to you. If you feel it like a lot in your shoulders, or you feel you're getting pulled about, you're not stable, which means you're not moving in a way that's normal. It's like trying to do a press up, but with a weird technique. It should feel really natural. It should just feel slower. That set wasn't as good. That felt, as I was literally talking about, more unnatural. I think that's because the unrack still isn't quite right. The unrack for me needs to be up, then out, not like up and out. It's all good. Right, so one of, I'd probably say my favorite variations, something that I get a lot of stimulus out of and something that I really enjoy is close grip. I think it's really great for teaching the biomechanics of the shoulders and elbows in the press, which obviously is you want external shoulder rotation on the way down, internal for that lockout press. And when you're close grip, there's a lot more accentuation of those movements to get into that position. But yeah, it's one of those where it's ideal if possible that you have this, but Spotto is a good option for a lot of people with shoulder issues as well. A lot of people can struggle with that, and that's kind of where people kind of get the whole like bad stigma around close grip, is that like, oh, it blows up your shoulders. Try doing block or Spotto, it might help. So in my program I've got preacher curls, and I do realise the irony that I am exactly what I'm supposed to be for preacher curls, but facing the wrong way. This is an exercise that I've seen a few people do, but I think it was Reagan Stigakis who I saw him doing it on like TikTok and Instagram, and I was like, I'm gonna try that out. And having like the pad behind me here to like push the elbows into and then initiate the curl really has helped me get the intensity into my biceps I'm looking for. The last kind of 3 months, I've really been upping the intensity of my accessories, and I think that attributed a lot, especially for like the squat that I haven't PR'd in nearly 3 years. I PR'd at comp. Just getting to that point of like actually having to put effort into a rep and then still going, hitting that wall and still going. I think that's where a majority of people, you know, new and old in the gym really struggle to understand is it's not training to a point of discomfort, it's training through a point of discomfort. If you're not doing stuff that your body doesn't want to do for reps, if you're not pushing through that discomfort, your body won't adapt to it. If you just go to where you go every week, you just do 10 reps of biceps at 20 kilos, and that's all you do, you're not going to get bigger and stronger. Your muscles don't need to get any bigger and stronger because they can do it already. You've got to hit it, or you've got to hit that wall, and then keep going. And it sucks, but it works. The accessories for my Wednesday, which is deadlifts, tend to be slightly more like back focused, back and biceps, which is probably very similar to what a lot of people do actually, which is like deadlifts, then back and biceps, and something that I did when I was doing rugby at the same time. I think it works out really nicely. Yeah. Personally, I kind of enjoy training triceps slightly more often than I do biceps. So I'm going to make a couple of edits to the plan that Joey and I have, which I've done already, like I've discussed with him. But I think it's not that triceps are overlooked by a lot of people. I think everyone probably overestimates how much they need to do triceps. I think it's just the exercise selection. A lot of people train triceps sheerly for the aesthetics, so they chase the long head, and that is kind of like the majority of their tricep work. I think I can probably accredit a large amount of my bench strength to the fact that my tricep work is not very long head dependent. I'm not doing much, if any, overhead extension. All of the tricep work I'm doing is very heavy, and one of my favorite is a V-bar push down, but instead of being behind it, I get over the top of it. So it's almost like I'm doing a dip, but close grip dip. And the pump you get in all three heads, but primarily kind of your lateral head, I think it's your lateral head here, it really does help with your bench. It helps stabilize your shoulders. It gets you used to firing front delt, lat, tricep all at once to push the weight down. So I'll probably do some of that after this. This is just like one arm. On the program it's one arm pull downs, but I struggle to get any decent sensation out of like very vertical pulls. So I tend to go for more of kind of a diagonal or a horizontal. Since today's a pull down, I'm going to be doing a diagonal. And actually this exercise I kind of learned many years ago off a friend called Dan when I went to uni in Oxford. And to be fair, he still does it to this day, and he's a mass bodybuilder, so he's obviously doing something right. Something you'll notice with a lot of my accessory work is I don't stay tense. I don't kind of like relax, but I just let all the tension out. I call it dead stops. So I'm literally here, no tension, and then I'm just going to engage and pull. And I found that this dead stop work gets me so much more like mind-muscle connection, and I feel it hitting the muscle a lot more rather than just holding the tension. All right, so I've got one more set. I've been doing a lot of just like 2 sets for my accessories, and to be fair, I feel like the intensity that I'm going after, 2 sets is more than enough. Really pushing through that, as I was talking about, like that sense of a tough rep and then going for another couple. 2 sets is more than enough. So this is what I was talking about. Obviously everyone, well, you might not know, but this is a V-bar because it looks like a V. Pretty flattened out V, but a V all the same. And what most people do is they tend to kind of sit back here with it and then go through an extension. Now, that is far too much weight for me to do like that. This is a full stack. And don't get me wrong, like, it will still hurt your triceps, but what I'm looking for is not tricep power in this position, because that doesn't translate to bench. If your tricep extending like that, you're doing a JM press. What I'm trying to get is a translation of this, because that is a bench press. And I think if you start to think about your accessories directly as how do these apply to my squat bench deadlift, and do they apply to my squat bench deadlift, you'll find as a powerlifter a lot of your accessories probably aren't hitting the mark, and that there are probably better ones out there. And this is one of those I would absolutely suggest. If you're running triceps 2 or 3 times a week, change out like your rope push downs or anything that you're doing here for this. And the only difference is instead of being here, you're gonna get over the top of it. I've just got the wire going by my neck, and you're just pressing down. You can still tuck the elbows, but the idea is that you want to maintain wrists. You don't want wrists back, you want wrists over. And you're just sitting over the top of it. And you saw that I couldn't even do 1 rep when I was sat back. And yet the second you get over the top of it, this is now, you know, far more comfortable and relatively easy. And this is now something that I can feel sit in my front delt, really hammering the triceps. It's getting a little bit of like the top of my chest, but that is going to carry over to my bench. That is just that. It's just a close grip version of it. What you have to remember is if you're already doing a lot of bench, your shoulders are already getting a lot of work. So having some accessories that you could consider close grip, or just taking a lot of the stretch away from the shoulder, but still loading triceps really heavy, it's a win-win. So for me, this is my answer to all of that. This is the best exercise, in my opinion, that I did when I was 105 and benched 235 kilos, and now as a 120, benching over 1/4 of a ton and in comp 240 kilos. Like, it works. And mind you, I've not really touched this exercise since I moved to 120, and I still benched over a quarter of a ton. Imagine what I or you could be doing if you were doing this now. Hence why I put it back in my program. It works. I am living proof of that. Ooh. What I will say is, like, if you've got your head to the left side, you're naturally going to feel it more on your right, and if you got your head on the right side, you're going to feel it more on your left. So what I tend to say is, if you've got like a set of 12 reps, do 6 on one side, and then quickly duck your head around the other side, do 6 again. That way, you're kind of like balancing out which tricep's getting biased. Sometimes if I'm really going for it, I can get to the point where I'm kind of just behind it, but close enough. But it's like 3 days after comp and I'm knackered. Yeah, that's me done. Deadlifts felt really good today, but in terms of like my focus for this off season, I've got about 6 months. It's going to be don't get ill, touch wood, and kill my accessories a little bit more. That's going to be the most important thing for me. But yeah, deadlifts went well, bench went really well. Like, I was getting a lot of the positioning and the arch that I was suffering and not getting previous. And then accessories I've actually hit with the right level of intensity today, and I've enjoyed that. So now, moving on to the other important part of training, which is recovery. So I'm gonna go home, gonna have a bath, gonna watch back some of my videos, message Joey. And then tomorrow's a rest day, but I might just go for like a sauna and a swim. Mission 260 bench, mission shredded 120 Alex. It's in progress, and this is episode 1. So I appreciate you all for watching. If you like this, please do subscribe, drop a like, drop a comment, feel free to ask anything. I'll see you for the next episode. Catch.